Hey guys and gals, welcome to Valken Debrief. Your co-host here, Josh, and myself, Bob, and we're out here at the Valken Ranch in colorful Colorado. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm good. It was a good day, good drive.
It is. It's beautiful outside.
Beautiful day in Colorado.
It is. So we're coming to you with Valken Debrief, which is our talk show, where we're going to be talking about things relevant in airsoft in the industry. Sometimes not so relevant, but we're here to impart whatever knowledge or lack of knowledge that we have and just give you our insight on things going on throughout the industry and the airsoft community. So our first topic of the day is this wonderful thing known as Airsoft C3 Underground event that happened on July 22nd at GamePod Combat Zone.
Yes, I got to go to that one. Kind of just giving you a history of it. Is it started off as like this. We have this group of players, and C3 is involved with that as well. You know, we just kind of like chat amongst ourselves and, you know, bug each other on a daily basis. And it kind of just started like it was this idea, like it was like this little concept, and everybody was kind of kicking around and be like, oh, that'd be really cool if, you know, we could make a game that we could get all of our friends to come to and just have a great time and just make it a fun game, you know, not try and put a label on it with, you know, Milsim or Speed QB or anything like that. So
it's kind of like if they could just delve into their video game and just play.
Yes, yeah, that's like what it turned into. Is everybody wanted. They're just like, you know, we all love playing video games. You know, almost all of us are nerds, cosplay, you know, comic books, video games, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I consider myself nerd, geek, dork, all in that order.
Dork. So the bottom wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
There are no. So they started. Rich and Ryan over at Airsoft C3 started putting this game together, and it just kind of like grew from there. You know, these crazy props. They secured the AO, you know, GamePod Combat Zone in Antioch, and it just really kind of like took on a personality of its own. And Airsoft C3 is all about community. So what they wanted to do was give back to the community. So your local field where you have players that come, you know, and play every weekend, you know, that pay their field fees, that are good, honorable players and just want to have a good time. It was something to give back to them. So they show up that day. It's like kind of like a flash mob event. So nobody knows what's going on. And it was very hush-hush, especially when you have so many sponsors involved, and to be able to keep it like that secret was a feat in and of itself.
It was. I really think because nothing got out. Nothing got out until, you know, everyone remembers soon going
right
all over social media. And literally everybody thought it was Airsoft Armageddon. It was like Airsoft 9/11. Nobody knew what was going on. And there were some very interesting and creative responses. Like I really enjoyed Highways's. He redid, after the second posting with the Underground logo, Highways did a like Decepticon morph of the Underground logo, which I thought that was really cool. I mean, the fact that he was just trying to figure out but kind of made something different, it just spread those first couple weeks right before the event, and it was literally driving people crazy. They didn't know where it was coming from.
Yeah, it was. Is it a product? Is it an event? Like, what's going on? Like, it really was like Armageddon. And there had been subliminal marketing for almost a month before that.
Right, because so, people could see the Underground logo.
And that was, everybody was doing that. Iron Man, Evic was doing it. Tiffany and her husband had kind of set up in their gun tech area, so it was everywhere. So like it was already in the back of people's minds. So it was a very successful marketing campaign, even though there was a lot of hate, a lot of shade.
There was
a marketing campaign.
Well, it was because people didn't know.
Well, that and also like there'd be some days when it would just clog up a whole feed. You'd be like scrolling and all you see is soon, you know, right. Or you'd see the logo.
And I think what really confused a lot of people is when all the sponsors were posting, because then it kind of took the product aspect out of it
Mm-hmm.
and made you really think, oh my gosh, what is happening?
It was the coolest thing to set up, and everybody's working real hard. And I think C3 Airsoft put something like was it 400 man
400
man hours into all the props. And I mean, we're not talking about like like little ammo boxes and stuff like that. We're talking like fully interactive lights. You had to plug power cells in, and there was a lot of concern that the game would be like too difficult. Like there would be, everybody wants to keep the game simple, and everything kind of just de-evolves into a gunfight. It's just a BB slinging contest. But people, you have to give it to the community. They really took the game to heart and really got into it.
No, it was really exciting to catch some photos. Just go down to the description below, www.airsoftc3.com/underground, where they actually have a lot of those photos of those props and behind the scenes of what actually happened. I mean, they made battery packs, like these huge drum battery packs that were actually heavy.
Yeah, they weighed like, I want to say like 40 pounds.
Right.
Yeah, and 2 people had to carry them. Same thing with the shield generators.
The shield generators I thought were really cool because it kind of reminded me of Halo.
Mm-hmm.
When you get those shield generators that come up and it was interesting because you had to set it up. You had to get this huge battery, plug it in. The whole thing's lit up with LED cords, lights. They had all these motion lights to...
Yeah, they had basically, they were... concert lighting.
Yes.
So they were programmed. So they were all hooked up like to a controller, and it was all synced and cued with like the music. And then basically like when you found a battery or unleashed a Titan or like anything, there was all these audio visual cues. So like the lighting would change color when the red Titan came online or the green Titan. So it was extremely intensive, but I think the payoff was well worth it. Like it was.
I should tell the folks what the Titan is.
What the Titan is. You go ahead.
All right.
You've been around.
So we had 2 Titans for the Evergreen Highlanders, the green side, and the Dead Reds for the red side. And they were played by Gulina Von Kitten and Typhon.
Yeah, CJ. Yeah.
CJ and Paulina. And they had a blast. I mean, they were this unstoppable force. So basically, you can imagine the 2 factions going head to head, and their goal was to try and get certain things to unlock this Titan, which is, it's kind of like you're, going around the world of Robotech, and you're trying to find the keys to the Veritech fighter.
Yes, it was very much
because
that.
you want to unleash this machine of destruction, and Paulina and CJ, they had these microguns.
Yes, yeah, they had the little the M132 microgun. Yeah.
Right. And so these things were awesome. So when the faction would unleash a Titan, there was lights to signal this. There was voiceover. Black Widow, she did a great job with the voiceover. And literally people would scatter because they knew what was about to happen.
Like they'd explain in the briefing, and it was done really well. But there were 3 games, and there was a briefing before each game, and it was short and sweet. But it was like, okay, the Titans are unstoppable. You can try and shoot them, and you can be a dick and like shoot these people. They were heavily armored, like they were prepared to be shot a lot.
Right, but
and if you were in the way, like seeing their helmet cam footage was hilarious because I mean they were just running for their lives. And if you watched any of the top down footage with some of the photographers that were there, you just see like a Titan come around the building, and there's just like a whole like 2-3 squads like moving around the building, like trying to keep a building between them and the Titan. So it really did change the dynamic, and it helped break up that stagnation of the gameplay. Everyone was all over the field.
And so you guys understand, they're unstoppable, but they were on a time limit. It was like 2 minutes, right?
Yes. Yeah,
it was
minutes.
a 2 minute
2 minutes per cell. So each side could find 3 cells, and each cell meant they get to come online for 2 minutes.
So that game is unlike any other because 1, it was free.
Yes.
2, it was like you said, it was a flash mob style that just appeared. Nobody knew where it was going to happen.
Yeah, like the doors literally rolled up, and Rich and Ryan kind of gave the introduction to it, and this is what you're getting today, and like just the look on people's face were like, what? Like they went through and they did like their normal waivers with GamePod, and then they went over to registration and they got, the first 150 players got a little grab bag, and each of the vendors, the sponsors, kind of put some goodies in there. Guardian Apparel made all the T-shirts, and
I love
believe
Corey's
like
work.
Who Shot First did all the patches, and the patches are really cool because I gave you one.
You did.
Yeah, they were random, so they were like limited edition glow in the dark ones that were like sprinkled through like all the kind of grab bags. So it was,
That's cool.
It was cool to see one of those running around, but like you got it at random, and you can only get one if you go. And they were all given out. There's no more left.
So that brings up the topic of the shade and people being upset. People were upset that they didn't know it was going to happen, and no matter what, there was no amount of money you could pay to be in the know or be a part of it. I mean, what is your opinion about those folks? I mean, for me, it's like, I think it's great that these kids came out and they got a total surprise and they didn't pay a dime. They were rewarded because they were going to their local field.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be bombarded by celebrities, bombarded by people that always want to be in front of the spotlight. We call them military spotlight rangers.
And kind of like to that with like, people that are in media spotlight. So like all the guys that were involved, we shared content. So like Sunday, we were all tired. It was kind of funny because I think in our little chat group, someone's like taking bets on it. It's going to be like the Avengers.
Oh, the shawarma.
Yeah, because that's what we were like. Like we had dinner that following evening, and like we're all just sitting around the table, just and then we wake up Sunday, and it was all that night and that day was all media dump. So everyone we shared it on the community drive, and everyone got to leave with all the content and stuff. So everyone got to further promote the event, and then just kind of like have these really cool features that put the players and the community as a spotlight, instead of any one person elevating themselves or any one company elevating themselves.
Right, and I think that's good, sharing the content, because DB Airsoft, Kyle Cardenas, put out his video, was it yesterday? Mm-hmm. Which is really great. I know that other folks, Evic put out a video. They did a great little gameplay footage as well. So it's really cool that everyone gets to take a little part of all this footage and create their own style release, which I think is really cool. I mean, has that ever been done before?
No, not as far as I know. As far as different sponsors and individuals and people involved with it, I've never seen anything quite like that before.
How many gigs of footage was there?
There was about 200 gigs.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was all video and footage.
So we talked about everyone got to create their own costumes and put a little bit of flair. What was your loadout?
So my loadout, much to kind of Rich's, I wouldn't say disapproval, but like they didn't want it to be like Star Wars. So mine is, I had, for a melee weapon, I had a lightsaber that I actually made. That I didn't use until the end, but I actually did get a few kills on the field. So there's actually some footage of me like running around and having a good time. And then the rest of it was I used our Valken LC plate carrier, the laser cut one, and kind of done it up with like a cape thing, and ran around with a hood and a Dye 4. And since we were on the red team, I had red LEDs with the hood.
That looked really cool because you had that hood over you and that glowing, and it just reflected off that lens. And I saw you, I'm like, just standing there with the lightsaber activated. I'm like, I really hope you just melee the crud out of somebody.
I got Omar from Enola Gay.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, that one
You got
was,
slow. That's
I got slow. It was a lot of fun because like all I saw was like the tip of a barrel and a light from around the corner. And I came around the corner and he came up to me. He's like, "Is that you with the lightsaber?" And I'm like, "Was that you around the corner?" And he's like, "Yeah," because I'd hit him, and then he just like walked away. So I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. He called it. Cool." You know, and then I didn't know it was him, and I'm like, "That's why he called it because." You know, Darren, Omar, and Castro. Yeah, they're all doing like the whole Comic-Con circuit, and they've been doing lightsabers and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And someone at least appreciated that and didn't get butthurt.
That's cool. That's cool. So on to our next topic, of which there's been a lot of talk from airsoft celebrities, a lot of high-profile players. It seems like everyone's been getting inundated by DM or Messenger. Hello, my name is so-and-so. You know, my parents don't make a lot of money. You know, can you send me something, you know, whatever, XYZ, you know, for free?
Yeah, that happens like daily. It's daily occurrence for a lot of us over here that do run and answer a lot of the social media feeds, the DMs, the messages and stuff. And, you know, there are some people that will, you know, share their stats and they have so many subs or so many followers and, you know, they want to promote the product. And, you know, I've had everything asked for from like a whole gun to a whole HPA setup to, you know, and BBs or a hat or, you know, it just varies. Like people are just, you know, some people want their team sponsored, so they want, you know, cases of BBs every month. But
I mean, I think it comes from, I don't know, just need for entitlement, that I don't understand why they feel that they should be put above someone else, especially if they're not putting in the work.
I think that's the biggest issue is just basically people are, you know, you could say ignorant or you could just say oblivious to the fact that, you know, what they do see when someone's doing an unboxing or someone's doing a gameplay review video for a particular product. Like those people who have channels that manage their own personal brand, like that's work. You know, some may do it part-time on the side. And it's like having another full-time job.
Right.
Like Airsoft C3, like those guys have normal day jobs and families, and they still are up all night, you know, working on the website or working on relationships and getting stuff up and running. And it's another full-time job. And players and YouTube content generators and bloggers, like they kind of don't want to explain what they do because, you know, that's like giving away their formula or their secret. Yeah. And, you know, you can't necessarily educate everybody because then everybody would try and do it and then everything gets diluted and, you know, the swamp fills up and yeah. So I think it's just people understanding how that actually works because people just think they're just like, oh, you know, I got a free bottle of BBs. Look, I shoot Valken BBs and it's like one post or one video and then, you know, that's it. And they're like, okay, give me more. You know, and that's if someone took a chance on them and sent them something.
Right. I actually saw a meme the other day that somebody posted, and it could actually be translated to any industry, you know, toy industry, car industry, whatever. And the meme was, hey, I'm a reviewer, send me free stuff. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm a reviewer, you know, and the person wasn't, but they were making a jab. Mm-hmm. They were making a statement that there are, you know, don't get me wrong, there are legitimate folks out there that invest their own money in their video setup, their, you know, everything that, you know, computers, whatever, whether they're doing written blogs, whether they're doing video reviews, gameplay footage. I mean, these people are investing their time and money, you know, but it's just really hard for me to swallow these folks that don't do that just like, oh, you get, like you said, you gave something to so-and-so. It's like, I could do that.
Mm-hmm. Or I call it like promotion through extortion.
That's good.
So like, I mean, you have people just like, you know, if you give me stuff, then I'll rep your brand in a good light. So what's going to happen if I don't give you something? Well, I might just leave like a bad review on Yelp or something. It's like, what? Yeah. So I mean, people like sometimes there's the occasional person that tries to extort you.
And that's a good point, because it's more than sometimes it's just more than just clicks, right? Clicks from YouTube back to the website. It's about getting on board with people that believe in your product.
Yes.
Because when at the end of the day, when you have to choose between somebody that's very high profile but they're not really into your brand versus maybe someone a little bit lower profile but they already are using your product, they enjoy it, they understand the differences. I mean, I'm going to invest in the guy or girl that understands the product and that enjoys it. I don't want to force feed anybody.
Yeah, we can have, loyalty is everything. So we've had guys that have been with us a long time, and we've grown together, as a brand, and they have as a player or content generator or even an influencer. But it's really hard because you do want to get, someone who has a lot of influence, but, they're just like, nah, I'm good. People still pick favorites, and it's not really, choices and decisions aren't made on business practice or purely performance. Sometimes it's almost like a fanboyism.
Right. Well, that kind of leads into the other side of the coin is sponsorship. So here at Valken, we have a sponsorship program, and right now we are very keen on taking care of current athletes, current teams, and future athletes and future teams. And I think let me just get down to the nitty gritty. So, for example, if you want to get sponsored, one of the big things is, providing analytics, contacting whoever you would like to be sponsored by and provide analytics, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, likes, subscribers, followers. That's all. That's great. That's a great first step. But then also your reach, as far as, hey, do people follow you in your own country? Do people follow you abroad? Are you doing print, written? Are you doing videos? Also, how many events do you go to a year? It's
in your region, like
Yes.
What's your region? Because sometimes you can have, regions that are heavily saturated, and then you can have, someone who is actually in a prime region that could actually step up and be, a good ambassador for us in that community, in that region of the country or the world. So.
Oh, exactly. And I think it's also important to know that you're not only just playing at your home field. You are playing at other fields. You're playing not only within your state, but outside of your state and even outside your country. It shows the level of player that you are, I think. Whether you're doing speed QB, whether you're doing milsim, whether you're doing woods ball, it's all the big picture, and that's just the airsoft side. I think it's also important to know, what's your background? Where did you go to school? Where do you work? What do you do for a living? What do you want to do 5 years from now? Because I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be a sponsored athlete.
With a lot of people, like what the dream, this ideal thing they want to do is they want to get into the industry somehow, and that's that becomes like a very general term. They're just like, I'm trying to get on board with the company and get into the industry. Well, what are you going to do for that company? And like you said, where did you go to school? What's your education? What's your background and experience in the workforce or your career? And I don't think anybody really stops to think about that. Because one thing I hear a lot is like, I'm a tech. And,
there's no
you can
no
tech on your
standard.
stuff Like if you tech on your stuff and you build this most amazing gun, but it takes you 16 hours to tune that thing, like that is not an employable skill.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like guys who are store owners that run a tech department, they want to make sure the company's happy, that it's fixed properly, and it's in and out the door. Happy customer, and I've worked for companies that like, a 4 or 5 hour repair bill at $30 or $40 an hour is, just buy a new gun at that point.
Right.
And they're taking it in the shorts. And when I would manage techs, it'd be like, all right, that needs to be off your table in an hour. Oh, but I'm doing it. Replace it. Well, no, I can fix and do this little thing here, and like I can put this little part in here, and I can get a spring out of another gun over there. And I'm like, just replace the whole module. Like, just fix it, make sure it's done properly, and get it out of here. Make sure there's not something else that's just about to fail, because that's another oversight. So, you really have to think about what you want to do and like how you present yourself.
And you're exactly right. And I get a lot of, when I ask, well, what would you like to do for us? And the majority of the time, like, whatever you want me to do. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear forethought. I mean, not that you're just cold calling, knocking on doors. I want to know if you've done your homework about our product and how you can actually promote the brand. Like ideas that you have. They may be crazy ideas, but have something. I mean, it's like preparing for an interview, right? It's the company manager. They want to know, hey, what do you know about us? How do you think you can contribute? Things like that. We want to see your artistic mind. We want to see how far outside the box you can think. We don't want a drone that just, I can do whatever, and I really wish that people would have more forethought before actually coming and asking for a sponsorship.
Oh, trust me, me too. Me too. But we've been working on some great stuff. We got some really good stuff coming as far as players, like you said, players, athletes, teams, and communities. So stay tuned for all that.
Oh yes, we'll be announcing all that very shortly, right around the corner. Should we say when? No.
No, they gotta check back in.
Soon. That was for you, Rich.
Soon.
So, those of you that have been keeping up and following Valken and one of our authorized dealers, Tax City hosted on the end of the month, last month, July, a Speed QB tournament. And
He's just trying to be all smooth with self-promotion, Casey Kasem.
I know, right?
Right.
So, and this was new to me. I've been a Milsim player for years. Operation Irene, American Milsim. I mean, probably everyone out there. I haven't been able to hit Milsim West yet, but 13 years doing Milsim. So this was my first exposure to Speedsoft or the brand Speed QB, and so I was really intrigued by this tournament style play. And there's a lot of shade.
Oh yeah.
Milsimmers, they don't like speed softers. Paintballers don't like airsofters in general. And this is like literally, in my opinion, the new hotness. It's bridging the gap that wasn't there before.
Yeah. I think the problem is like everyone gets so caught up in picking camps. Everything always goes into camps, and everybody wants to point their missiles at each other and start a war over something trivial. And I think if people just would realize the fact that there are things that can come out of like this unholy union. It's kind of like how tactical shooting and competition shooting. There's a lot of technology and techniques that have crossed over and have bridged those gaps that have benefited both, and in some cases saved people's lives in first responders, law enforcement, and military applications. And there's a lot of cool stuff that the speed softers are coming up and developing, with refining, because it's not nothing I'm not saying they invented the tapped mag, but refining the loading mechanisms. Their battle belts that I've seen that hold their mags, and just the overall aggressive style of play. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up in the shade is, this guy is like all like squared away and he's using tactics and techniques, and he's in his mode, and some kid with shorts and arm pads and knee pads comes sliding around the corner of the beanie and shoots him in the face 20 times with a pistol. And it's just like, how does that even happen? So I think it's a lot of ego that gets pricked in that arena, because I mean they're fast. Like I see them, they run, they slide, they're some can actually hit stuff. Like I've seen some stuff where they're just like, they've got like their little short little HPA rifle, and they're like, I gotta be fast, but you're not hitting anything. But I gotta be fast.
I know.
It's like, but you're not aiming or hitting anything. Like, slow down a little and aim. But I gotta be fast. So,
And I think what's important that both sides of the fence need to realize is it takes training on either side. Whether it's slow military type tactics for Milsim, Ranger Handbook. It's not something that's inherent. It has to be learned, and it has to be done over repetition. The same thing happens in this fast speedball type, speed soft, environment as well. There is, after watching an entire tournament, there is a lot of strategy and practice that these guys go through. And, people are going to shoot me for this, but these speed soft teams, they gather at least once a week and train. Milsim, I don't think there are many Milsim teams out there that train once a week. Probably once a month. Now, they're probably training once a month for 6 hours.
Yeah. Like actual training, because I think the difference is, like, you got to look at the training versus just play.
Right.
Because a lot of teams will go out there and they'll go play. They want to get their game on. But speed QB teams will actually train, run their tactics. Then you have guys with their different jobs, whether they're a front man or the back man, or I don't even know if they translate those terms from paintball or not. But I think the biggest misconception of paintballers is they think that there's no skill and there's no technique, when these guys in the NXL, for instance, like Team Infamous, like those guys are practicing like every week, and they're targeting specific things. They're watching play reels, and these guys are like legitimate athletes, and everyone just likes to just throw shade, hate, disregard all paintballs, just throw. It's not that. It's 16 balls a second is the cap. And it's semi-auto. That's why they have to walk the trigger. And that takes technique too, to snap shoot or put it where you want, round on target, get up there in the front, and communication. Oh yeah. Like paintball's like huge on communication. Like they are yelling and calling out. They have their own code words. They've broken the field down into quadrants and sectors and fire lanes, and you don't see any like airsoft teams doing that. It's like, we're gonna use hand signals and be tactical. And use our radios. Yeah. That stuff's supposed to go out the window when first contact is made. And guess what? Every single airsoft game is contact's already been made. So.
Right. Oh yeah, and and it was also interesting to see, because there's also restrictions on the Speed QB side. I think this tournament was semi-only, and with a .25 max, you had to chrono under 350, I believe, is what the rules are. If I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
Comments inbound.
Nukes. And what was really great to see is, do they do pistol? Do they use long guns? Do they use HPA, green gas, electric? There were some teams that I saw that actually had a purpose and a strategy of who carried what. And that it's the same thing in Milsim. You've got support gunners to lay down base of fire. You've got your assault team, which is light. Everybody has their responsibilities, and I don't think that the Milsim crowd realizes that just as much strategy and planning and team assignment, goes into Speedsoft.
Yep. No, they all just have beanies and dies and a pistol with flashing pistols.
Flashing pistols.
I
was actually
that's what all speed officers are.
I was actually amazed that they could actually come to point, and the moment they pull their trigger, that they can activate their light to illuminate the BB to ensure accurate hits and spending less ammo. And at first, from an outsider's perspective, it looks like, wow, do they have some new tack light that triggers and flashes when they pull the trigger? I was kind of naive. Like, no, they actually, with their offhand, is timing it. I mean, I tried doing that when I came back, and I could not do it anywhere near as fast. So it really showed me, it gave
Those
me
guys
appreciation.
invest in lights. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
They'll run Surefires. They'll run they'll run the what are the enforced Surefires or TLR1, TLR2. Yeah, they invest.
Yeah. I mean, how much do you think, when you're talking about investing, which side of the house do you think invests more money on equipment?
I don't know. It's really got to depend because, a die usually runs about $140 just for an I4, and their pistols can cost as much as a rifle almost, depending on what they've got into it. I'd say Milsim probably spend more because of the patterns, the gear, the radio. That incurs a lot more costs. But I think that people are a lot of players just don't understand that there are people that really invest and refine their kits in Speed QB. Those Speed QB belt drop bag battle belts I've seen, those can't be cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're high quality and they have to manufacture them in probably a pretty limited run, so that that drives the cost up. And everyone's just thriving on the what's the brand, Armor Works. That's like the go-to. If it's not Marui and you're ordering garter or 9-ball parts from overseas, a lot of guys are really getting on with Armor Works.
Yeah, and their Armor Works actually has a lot of, because color. I think color is coming back, definitely for sure in Speedsoft, but color's coming back on the Milsim side as well. So, I mean, I'm
sorry, the rest of the ranch is waking up, so our poor video tech guy editor back there is losing his mind.
Yes, not a problem.
If I could only spit around the camera and the little bits he's throwing. So we apologize if you guys could hear any of that.
So to drive the topic home, I think it's very safe to say both sides train. Mm-hmm. They train at different levels, different lengths of time, but when you look at hour to hour, they put in about the same amount of work.
Oh yeah.
Both invest a significant amount of money in their loadout, their equipment, without a doubt. And there's a lot of strategy involved. Communication is still huge. Mm-hmm. Whether you're running around in the woods, trying to recce, an enemy squad, or whether you're 1 versus 3 and trying to figure out where these dudes are, on a speedball court. I think it's great that our hobby, something that we enjoy to do, can meet the needs of different spectrums.
Yes. And I think that in order for the industry and the technology and everything to grow, I think it both need to be embraced instead of trying to segregate and label everything. Like everyone's all about labels and tries to elevate one above the other.
Exactly.
Is the problem. Can't we just all get along?
Well, all right, folks. That does it for today's episode of Valken Debrief. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. And we will see you again very soon next week on another episode of Valken Debrief.